Okay, I want to start with thanking everybody for being here. It's not easy to sit in one place and attend all the lectures, and I want to thank all the faculty and everyone who's registered here for the meeting to be here all day listening to the talks and seeing these live cases, and hopefully it was helpful to the most of the people who are here. So we used to do the International Congress with Dietrich for years, for almost 20 years at the Arizona Heart Institute, and there is no way anyone can replicate those meetings ever. There's no question, you cannot. And so we have to thank industry, we have to thank faculty for allowing us to do even this much, even on a small scale compared to what we used to do 10, 15, 20 years ago. But the bottom line is, we do this because we love what we do. We like to teach, and Ben will collaborate on this too. And we're going to advance the technology, but at the same time, you've got to do it very professionally, educationally, and for the right reasons. So I want to thank everyone once again. There was a tradition, even at the Arizona Heart Meetings International Congress, that we would honor a few people that we felt were very dear and close to us. And this evening, I want to start with actually a tribute to a close friend who also worked at Arizona Heart. In fact, he was there even before I joined Arizona Heart. He just left the year I joined, and Dr. Rich Heuser. So let's play the video.
Thank you, Venki, for inviting me. You've done a great job. This is really what I think is a game changer.
Unfortunately, Rich passed away last year. He was here at this meeting, and he was just a phenomenal person, totally involved in outside-the-box thinking, started even PQ bypass with Jim Joy, and has so many inventions, so many companies that he started. And that's a message to all of us, is that we're really good in what we do, at least I am. But you got to do things beyond what you're good at too, and getting involved in changing in devices, new technology. And I can point to hundreds of people here in the audience itself who are already involved with developing new technology, getting involved right at the basis in developing the technology, doing first-in-human trials, and ultimately bringing it to market. And it's not easy. And Dr. Walker knows all about it too. So Rich was a personal friend of mine. He lived in Phoenix. He was very instrumental in me getting involved in a lot of the companies that he actually also started. And one of the companies that he actually worked with was what won 2 years in a row as the best innovation company. This was to treat hypertension. So normally you do radiofrequency ablation of the renal sympathetic chain or whatever it is. You go through the groins, you go into the renal artery, and then you blast away all of this. But this company actually goes through the urethra, cystoscopy, and then ablates the pelvis of the kidney through the urethra. It's a total out-of-the-box thinking, and that's what we need to develop. That's what we need to think outside the box completely to help our patients as much as we can. So Rich will always be remembered as a great, he was an exercise enthusiast, right? I remember he used to be always in Orange Theory and everything, and then suddenly, he was snatched away from us on a cruise, actually. So I want to bring forward Sherry. Come take the stage. This is Dr. Heuser's Sherry Heuser. Wendy, Regina, take the stage. So Rich worked with Dr. Schatz, of the Palmer-Schatz tent. Dr. Schatz was actually at Arizona Heart. I worked with Dietrich for a couple of years, worked with Dr. Heuser, and these two were his primary research coordinators and did all of the research for Dr. Heuser and also worked with Dr. Schatz. So I would like you to say just a few words about our good old friend, Rich Heuser. Okay. If you want to come here, that's fine too.
Well, I wasn't prepared to say anything. I didn't know I was going to be called up, but I'm honored to be here, and I know Rich would very much appreciate your giving this tribute to him tonight. I was married to Rich for 22 years, the most amazing years of my life, and I'm so grateful to have been married to such an amazing man. He was the most dedicated, disciplined person I've ever met, and truly loved his practice, his patience, his research, everything that he did. He had a life well lived, and my family and I dearly miss him. So thank you.
I feel like I have a few stories. My name is Wendy Schrader. I'm a research nurse for many, many, many years. I met Dr. Heuser as a research nurse. Initially, I begged for my job. I went to someone he chose as his voice of reason, who was the department head, and I said, I can do this, please pick me. She did. This was back, I actually started at the Arizona Heart Institute, so I knew Congress, I knew EBD, I knew the front tennis court, I knew live cases of carotid stents when they were really risky, without embolic protection. I knew a lot of the tools and the toys, but what I remember about Heuser was when he came to us at Columbia Medical Center Phoenix at the time when I became a coordinator, he said, I'm going to leave here because this is going to become a Phoenix Children's Hospital, so we're going to move everything over to St. Luke's. Oh, are we? And for anyone who's an investigator, which is probably 99% of this room, it's a very difficult middle of a study endeavor, right? And this was in paper product days and cases of IRB documents and explaining to sponsors that the institution doesn't exist anymore and we now need new contracts because we're going to do this somewhere else. And he was a cheerleader in that effort. And he supported us dearly, but when he wanted to move it then from St. Luke's again, I'm like, no, I think I don't want to do that again. But the things I learned from him, he was a cowboy and he knew he was a cowboy. He was innovative and he knew he was risky. He intentionally surrounded himself with people who would be his voice of reason. He did that on purpose because he knew if he didn't, he'd get himself in trouble. Case in point, I'm standing in the cath lab, he squirts, it's a total occlusion. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go, they're not eligible. No, come back. Just give me the wire out of the box. No, you can't just have half the investigational product to see if you can get flow. That's not how this works. No, just give me the wire. No. Turn around, and the rep gave him the wire. And then I had to help him process all of his paperwork for his adverse event and protocol violation and encourage him to listen to me when I ask him kindly to participate in the rules. But he always, like I said, he surrounded himself with people who could protect him from being his own worst enemy, and we appreciated that in him. He also credited his village. I'm on posters. He would ask me to write a paragraph. We participated in manuscripts and things like that, and he credited everyone around him. He was also humble. I'll tell you one other story, and then I'll turn it over to Reggie, because Reggie knew him in his early age, I in years. He respected the research process. I remember he was speaking at a conference one time, and he was telling people, we have eligibility criteria for a reason. We don't claim something is successful until it's cleared or approved for a reason. We went around preaching and teaching about rotablator while it was investigational before we knew that it created so much heat that we had intimal hyperplasia and people were coming back in the cath lab like it was a revolving door. He said that out loud. He said that out loud. And yet he'd be the first one in the room to say, no, just give me the wire, just give me the wire. So he was just a really dynamic, motivated, innovative person who wanted to play by the rules, surrounded himself with good people, just a really great guy. And I have an autographed endoluminal stenting book that I'll probably hug tonight when I get home. Thanks for letting me say something.
So Wendy's a tough act to follow, I can tell you. I can ditto everything that she said about, I've always called him Dr. Heuser. I have 2 law degrees, but when I started working with him, I inherited him because I worked with Richard Schatz. So Dr. Schatz hired me to work with him. He left to go to Scripps La Jolla. In comes Richard Heuser. Him wanting to do everything that he was supposed to do came from us. Dr. Schatz said, you've got to do it the right way. We had to do things the right way. He had to do things the right way. And he knew we were going to keep him in line, and we did. Eventually, I left, and his life went on, and things changed. But I started with Richard Schatz, Dr. Dietrich, and all of them. When they brought the Palmas Schatz here, it was still being studied. Rights had been given to JJIS, Johnson & Johnson Interventional Systems, and I worked with all of those guys, including Julio Palmas, which was the very first stent to be approved for market release in the U.S. So what he took on into his career, he learned at AHI. And he executed well. But he did do, yes, but he did those crazy things and more, and I'm not going to tell you about the crazy things, but I wanted to at least give him that much. Okay, yeah.
Can we all agree he's one of the best dressed guys ever?
Oh, there, you can see it.
Yeah. I have to add something to this. I had a child there who's 32 right now.
Child, 32?
He's 32 now, but I was at the Arizona Heart Institute, and when I was pregnant, he purchased for my little boy who has spina bifida. It was a tough thing for me, and they were so supportive. A black tuxedo, a onesie, with a red bow tie. So the best dress, yes, he stayed with that. But that's what we still have that. Okay, just wanted to share that. Yes.
Rich will live on. Maybe I'm getting old, but these guys were pioneers. I still remember, what do you have there? Well, we have this new device. Where is it? In the trunk of my car. Dietrich, bring it in. That's how we worked at Arizona Heart. But those days are gone, to be very, very honest. We live in a totally different world right now. But anyway, thanks, Rich. Goodbye, my friend. But life goes on. A second part of this program is to honor a few people, irrespective of whether they deserve it or not. Play the video.
Why medicine? Well, it's kind of almost an accidental event. I come from a family of attorneys. My dad was an attorney. I've got 2 brothers that are attorneys, cousins, uncles, the whole family. I'm kind of a black sheep going into medicine. But what happened was, between my first and second year in college, I had a family connection with Dr. Denton Cooley, and I got to know him. So I spent some time at the infancy of the Texas Heart Institute, and I spent some time in the operating rooms there back in the early 1970, 71, that sort of thing. Decided literally at that point in time to become a cardiac surgeon and never look back. After medical school, I did what everybody I knew that was a cardiac surgeon did. I got a residency in general surgery in the Baylor department with Michael DeBakey, and then was lucky to stay on as to do my thoracic residency. All the surgery at that time was for aneurysms particularly was open. We began to, in the early 1990s, I guess, very slowly evolve into the very early days of endovascular work. But anyway, the first trial that we got involved in was the Gore EVAR trial, and I was the PI in Houston for that at Methodist Hospital. And then we got involved in the Gore tag graft and some of the Medtronic devices, and we were like everybody else. We were teaching ourselves to do endovascular work alongside our very capable and fantastic relationship with the interventional radiologist. And the next thing you know, there's quite a number of different devices for both the thoracic and abdominal aorta. And it wasn't really up until the last decade or so that we began to use some branch grafts for the thoracoabdominal and even the arch. And we were, of course, involved in the branch trial for the Gore device and the TAMBI trial for the thoraco. But all that's recently in the last half a dozen years or so. I've always enjoyed medicine and surgery in general. And when I was in medical school, I enjoyed that. When I was doing my residency, strangely as it might seem, even though Dr. DeBakey was quite a taskmaster, I actually enjoyed all that work and working with him, because these guys were innovators in their own time. They were giants in the field, you know, and having a chance to be exposed to them and work with them was just an interesting time. Probably I'm best known for open thoracoabdominal aortic aneurysm repairs, and I've done almost, over 3,800 of them. And we've had an opportunity to analyze that data in really quite a large number of publications over the years. Following my mentors, Dr. DeBakey, Crawford, and of course Dr. Cooley, when you do a body of work to on a real-time basis, keep track of it and keep track of your results so that you can analyze them. Analyzing your experience as a whole is a very, very valuable thing to do. The opportunity to be involved on an academic level adds a dimension to your professional career, which for many of us really surpasses having just the clinical aspects. You know, if you're a young surgeon and you're looking at things, the only thing that's absolutely certain in surgery, cardiovascular and vascular surgery, is there going to be change. Operations are going to go out of style for a variety of reasons, and new things are going to be innovative. And if you really want to be good, what you need to do is become involved in the innovation of those things. Embrace the change. Open surgery is not going to go away by any stretch of the imagination, but I wouldn't stand in the way of technology and material engineering solving most of the current problems we have.
Thank you, Dr. Coselli. I have his phone number on my speed dial, because I still remember going to Dr. Dietrich and said, you know, we need to do some open thoracoabdominal aneurysms. And he looks at me, do you want to go forward or do you want to go backward? Because we were all in this endovascular era. But of course, it's a great operation for the people and for the right reasons. And Dr. Provenza was one of our fellows, then went on to work with Dr. Coselli. And so anytime I had a sort of a young patient that met the criteria for open repair, boom, transfer to Houston. And I still remember one patient who had, I think it was Pacific Air Insurance, and he needed a thoracoabdominal operation. And of course, he was denied because at Arizona Heart we didn't do them. And they said, then I called Dr. Coselli, and he said, yeah, transfer the patient, but the insurance company, Pacific Air, would not transfer the patient. So then they called me about an hour later and say, hey, we found someone in Scottsdale who can do this operation, and we're going to transfer this patient to that hospital. So I called the CEO of Pacific Air and I said, I can do this operation as badly as that doctor in Scottsdale. And if anything happens, I'm going to hold you liable. Boom. 5 minutes later, he was flown to Houston. Thank you, Dr. Caselli, for all the work you did. Thank you so much. And come on over here. I would also like to invite his family members. Are they here? Family members.
What he's talking about is my wife and kids are actually here. My wife travels with me a lot, and my kids are here because they're visiting friends. My daughter's good friends with one of y'all's NFL football players, and so his wife, they had a good time this afternoon. Yeah, so he played for Houston and then the Cardinals and et cetera, et cetera. I think he finished out this season at the San Diego, but that's not. So when he started this, I stuck my head out the door, and they'd wandered off. So they're out there somewhere. So yeah, they're out there somewhere wandering around. So I apologize about that. I don't know if I'm supposed to say anything or really have much to add. I truly am grateful for the tribute. I do remember Ted Dietrich extremely well. Growing up in the Baylor system with DeBakey and Dr. DeBakey truly loved Ted. And I came just along pretty much right after he left, and so all I got were the stories. But when he came to Arizona and started the Arizona Heart Institute, there was one thing very, very clear about him. He was a remarkable man, a genius in a lot of ways, and he was really pushing the envelope with innovation and doing things in a cutting-edge way that the rest of us could only dream about. But the real gift that he had was not only doing these things, innovating and developing things, but to share that and to teach it and really spread that knowledge around the world, which is so his work through his students and residents and fellows and everybody who's learned from him still lives on. And there's no greater honor than that you receive from your peers. And so I can't tell you how honored and grateful I am for this lifetime award. Thank you.
Dr. Krasher, want to say a few words? He's from Houston, I heard. But he's an interventional cardiologist.
He's like a lot of Texans. He got there as soon as he could.
Yeah. Well, this is probably the most that I heard Dr. Caselli talk. He's a man of a few words. And the reason I'm saying that, we sit together at the TAVR committee every Tuesday, and he's probably the most humble individual among 20 of them sitting there, doesn't comment, doesn't criticize, and whenever you ask him a question, he says, yeah, we can do that surgery, no big deal. So because he's a superb surgeon, and it has been a pleasure for decades now to be next to him, to work with him, take care of my patients as well. And as far as numbers are concerned, other than DeBakey, Cooley, and Crawford, you are right there, no doubt about it, and the expertise as well. So your mentors really did a good job on you, and we are honored to have you at our institution, Texas Heart, Baylor, St. Luke, CHI, whatever else is there, and whatever comes in the future. But thank you very much to have an opportunity to work with you.
It's cardiologists such as you that makes us look good, let's face it.
Come on, stand up. So in honor as the 2025 TED Congress Lifetime Achievement Award, this drink's getting to me. I award Dr. Joseph Caselli this beautiful award.
Thank you.
Come on, Craig, stand up. Come and take a picture. That camera doesn't take stills.
You can get stills off video at least, don't you? Thank you
Congratulations
so
once
much.
again. Thank you so much for all that you've done. And keep your phone on. The case I remember very well was a young ER doctor that at that time he put an endograft in for a type B aortic dissection. I think a week later he developed a retrograde dissection into the ascending. And we sent him to Dr. Coselli, who took the entire graft out and did an open repair, and the guy is still alive today. So thank you, Dr. Coselli. Congratulations, and keep on helping us out, bailing us out, rather. Thank you so much. Our next award for this evening, I won't say anything. Play the video.
For me to get into medical school wasn't easy because there was an awful lot of competition from young men coming back from Vietnam at that time. After I didn't get accepted the first go-around, they said, "What are you going to do if you don't get accepted this time?" I said, "Well, I know I'm going to be a doctor, so I think it'd be a great idea if you just accept me now." I did get accepted that time at the University of Oregon. When it came time to concentrate on what area I wanted to be in, it was very easy for me because as a resident, a surgery resident, I found personally that I couldn't stand amputations. I just made it my goal to be really, really good at something that could preserve people's ability to keep their leg on. I trained in arterial disease. I did a lot of angioplasty with arteries, but I found that there was a lack of anybody taking care of people with bad DVT situations, especially in the IVC and all the way down in both legs, extreme thrombosis cases, whether acute or chronic. I found that it was kind of like a puzzle, and I really wanted to solve this puzzle to help people be able to walk. I attribute some of the long-term success, since we've been doing this for 30 years now, to the fact that I keep patients on warfarin for many years if they have had the kind of thrombosis and have the residual chronic thrombus that would be a setup for reclotting. Physicians don't know how to do, they're not trained to do that now, and the hospital staff, the CEOs are not really very supportive of these kinds of therapies because it's not lucrative for the hospitals. Since no one had done anything 30 years ago, it was it was innovative. DVT in one segment is one thing, but DVT in the whole leg or the inferior vena cava is a different problem. And to have put many stents in, maybe up to 10 stents in some people, I was successful and people were amazed that we could do something that hadn't been successful in the past. I do it because I feel responsible to those patients to make sure they have the best result possible. The fact that it works, and it can work if you have training and you have a desire to help those patients, has been verified. I think that my important contribution to the field is that I was able to demonstrate that it really works. Being able to demonstrate that in meetings and in teaching classes that we've done has helped spread a lot of the resources, because there are a lot of physicians who are capable of doing it if they really want to do it. My father always told me, just be the best you can be and don't worry about what other people say. So that's what I've always done. I remember the very physicians who said things like, "Oh, you're too cute to go into vascular surgery," or "You're too cute to be a surgeon. You don't want to do this. You want to have a better life. Don't you?" They said, "Don't you want to have kids?" And it was hard to navigate, there's no doubt. I succeeded by having mentors. I know that if you're good at what you do, that no one can deny that. And the patients are the testimony.
Come on, Patty. Come on. I still remember Patty because I think she worked at the Arizona Heart Institute too, and the hospital. And I think Dr. Dietrich brought her in because venous disease is is not glamorous. Let me put it that way. It's not glamorous like arterial, even thoracic, ruptured aneurysms. This is all dramatic arterial surgery. But venous disease, I don't deal with it because the patients are crazy and the physicians taking care of them are even more crazy. So Patty, oh, you don't have to cry. Come on.
Thank you.
Come on.
Well, thank you. It's awfully nice of you to do this. But I asked Anita if that means I have to retire. I have the testimony of all these patients for years, which keeps me going. And I want to tell you, Dr. Dietrich did believe in me, although he was complaining all the time that we don't make any money on this. So we know that's the problem. I swear we have to go to the Supreme Court and have it legislated that veins are equal to arteries. Because if you don't have your veins working, you don't have a very good leg or a life. So I loved arterial disease, and I did a lot of it. People don't know that, but I was very good at that before I became...
Seriously? Arterial disease?
Yeah. But because I was at residency in surgery, my God. But I did specialize in veins. And because people have those problems and nobody wants to help them. So when I could do it and it was successful, it carries its own weight. And patients are eternally grateful for me allowing them to be able to walk 20 years after I've stented them. And it means a lot to me to follow these patients. And as I must tell you too, part of my research with all these patients is the effect of blood type on DVT and thrombosis. And I'm pretty sure that it has something to do with lytic therapy as well as thrombosis, because blood types are different, and none of us know very much about it. Most people don't even know what blood type they are. And I've studied it now for 25 some years to understand that there's something to be said for treating people differently if they have different types of blood, and do they need to be anticoagulated more than others. So that's my next goal, is to be able to publish that data. But thank you for recognizing the work we've done. Thank you.
Thanks, Patty. I'd like to call Peter, come on. Come on, Peter. Peter, come on here. Glovitsky. We as surgeons, obviously, we're really good. We do fantastic work. We save patients' lives. But I don't know whether we improve their quality of life. That's the whole thing. And I've noticed that when you do venous surgery, there are certain patients who come to me and say, "You saved my life." I'm like, "What?" You do a saphenous vein ablation. They come to me and say, "You saved my life," or you get a DVT, or you treat the iliac May-Thurner's or something, or pelvic injection syndrome. I don't deal with a lot of that stuff because I hold true to my statement that these patients are a bit crazy. Peter is another one, as a surgeon, who deals with problems now that we tend to ignore. Swelling of the legs, lymphedema, venous disease. And so I'd like to ask Peter to say a few words. Why would you stick with venous surgery? It's not dramatic. It doesn't make you a hero, at least in most of the people I work with.
Well, I'm a vascular surgeon. Vascular means arteries, veins, and lymphatics.
Exactly.
And when I trained in Budapest, my professor said, "Well, are you an arterial surgeon or are you a vascular surgeon?" And we were vascular surgeons. We saw patients with arterial ischemia, we saw patients with a swollen leg, and we saw patients with the venous ulcers. So to me, it was obvious that as a vascular surgeon, I should take care of the vascular system. I spent a year as a fellow in Paris with Serval, who was a professor of cardiovascular surgery, extremely interested in venous disease, venous malformations, lymphedema, but we were operating aorta and we were doing even cardiac procedures. When Patricia came to the Mayo Clinic and visited us, we had a tremendous interest in opening up deep veins with stents. I was doing vascular reconstructions, but obviously we were very much interested in non-invasive procedures. And Haraldur Bjarnason, who is our interventional radiologist, has done amazing things, practically learning at that time from Patricia, having the support and enthusiasm of John Bergen, who really at that time was, kind of an international dean of venous disease, and very much, part of the Ted Dietrich meetings every year. And that's when I came here and gave a talk, it was, Ted and John who invited. So I think we just have to really kind of appreciate how much we as vascular specialists have to take care of arteries, veins, and lymphatics in a way. So that's where I think Patricia's contribution is amazing, because she really was and is the pioneer who recognized that with endovascular procedures you can do amazing things to people who completely lost hope because they have extensive venous obstruction that actually can be opened up, and those patients, not many of them, but actually a considerable number of them really can have a close to normal life.
Thank you, Peter, for those kind words. Come on in, take a seat. Bill, come on. Come on up. You need help? No, come on, because we're going to award this, come on, to Patty. Come on up. Come on, Bill. Does he need a hand? Okay. I don't think I'm going to have Dr. Glovitsky present this to Dr. Patty Thorpe. Come on, Bill, come this way. Thanks, Patty. Thanks for all the years.
Patty, I think she should come to the middle.
Come here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Come, Bill, come this way.
Beautiful.
I'm an arterial surgeon. Okay, let's do this. You need 4 hands, man. You need to be a Hindu god. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Lovely. Gosh.
It's time to eat. Thank you so much for all your support. Have fun. See you bright and early in the morning.